Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to our first ever live post-game day of recap show. Hopefully we can do this more in the future. Today the Minnesota Vikings played host to the Kansas City Chiefs and dropped the game 27-20 to fall to a record of 1-4. So with that said, we didn't really have specific plans on how we're going to be running today's podcast. We're going to for sure end it probably by 7:00 Central Time, so it'll be probably about a half hour. But I think it'd be best if we just start by everyone can share their initial thoughts, how you feel. So I guess I'll just kick it off. I feel bland about this team. I don't know. That's how I've just felt all year. I don't feel joy in watching them really. But I also haven't had that much joy in watching a Vikings team. I guess I did last year, but since 2019. But I don't know. They just feel like kind of like a bland team to me, but that's just how it is. Today kind of epitomized their season. They had chances, they couldn't capitalize, and there goes Big Lou. Yeah, that's kind of how it went. They had opportunities, they weren't able to cash in, so they had some dumb errors. They had injuries also that we'll go through here in a little bit, but I don't know. This team just feels lethargic.
I mean, if the first play was any indicator on how we should have expected this game to go, it was a good first play. Josh Oliver had a nice catch, fumble, and that's been Vikings kryptonite all year. So we've had 5 games. In our first 5 drives, it was 3 and out, fumble, pick six, fumble. I mean, first drives have not gone to plan. Last year, it was a completely different script. It felt like the Vikings were always scoring touchdowns. And you go from 11-0 in one-score games. We're in our 5th game, and we're 1-4 now in one-score games. And the road doesn't get easier with the Bears next week. They have coming off their best game.
Then they play the Niners, I think, after that.
Yeah, it don't get easier. But I'm going to piggyback off Joel because there isn't really much to say. It kind of feels like old Vikings teams in past. You kind of expect this. You're numb to this feeling. You know, nothing's really going to change. I thought the defense was fine. That wasn't pass interference at the very end. No, he should have been flagged for taking his helmet off. The one thing I'm just frustrated on is why throw a flag if you're going to pick it up. It wasn't even that obvious of a It should have just been let go from the start. There shouldn't have been a flag in the first place. But yeah, Vikings shot themselves in the foot. And I think the biggest takeaway is how big of an impact Justin Jefferson truly is for the Vikings. Without him on the field, his offense just looked lost. And no one really big stepped up. Hawkinson didn't really step up in his absence. He had a couple balls that, they're tough catches, but you're a top tight end in the league. You really want to make those plays. So
absolutely. At the end there, I mean, Hawkinson kind of got injured there too. He was down for a bit there. But, yeah, we had no one step up there at the end when we truly needed that. And then our O-line there at the end just couldn't hold off the Chiefs defense there and gave up that sack on that last play. So
Now that we're talking about – sorry, Matt, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say, I mean, you can't take a sack there. I know you've had no time. You have to at least give it a chance, And I go back to the Giants game in the divisional round. Yeah, he threw a check down, and that's not great. But at least he tried giving it a chance. You're going to get pummeled. I mean, I don't know. I felt like just try throwing it up. What's the worst that could happen? You never know.
Yeah, you just brought up TJ Hawkinson, so I was going to address that too. I saw at least 3 different times today he would had a ball skip off his hands, and overall, to me, it feels like this year he just doesn't have the same impact that he did last year when they traded for him. It was such a big deal, and he played so well right away and all throughout the entire rest of last season. Then there was the contract negotiations that lingered into training camp and almost into the season. And then ultimately they got it worked out, but he just doesn't feel like the same player that he was last year in my eyes.
Yeah, it seems like his productivity has declined since last year. I mean, he's still impactful for our team, and he's still good to pair with Jefferson and Addison there. But he just doesn't have that same impact as last year. I agree with you there, Joel.
I mean, I feel like a lot of the plays we saw that he didn't make today and throughout the season, those were plays he was making with the Lions. He was always being able to make contested catches and giving his team an opportunity to win. That hasn't really happened. I mean, those balls are tough in the first place. But when you're paying a guy that much money, you just really want him to make those plays. And that's what you hope they do in that situation. But Jordan Addison, I think if any player stepped up today, it was Jordan Addison. I thought he looked good out of the slot receiver role. He's good with his speed, had a nice touchdown in the back of the end zone. And if Jefferson's out long term or even out for a game, that's the guy we need to step up.
I was just about to bring up Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison today, 6 catches, 64 yards, and a touchdown on 9 targets. He did a great job catching the ball. There was one, he is really bad at blocking, I've noticed.
Yes.
He can't block to save his life.
It's tough on the perimeter.
I can't give him everything. Can't say he's an absolutely immaculate player because he can't block. And I noticed at least 1 or 2 times he just had complete whiffs on block attempts. But catching the ball, I think he did a fantastic job stepping up today. And I think for the most part, KJ Osborne, I think, did kind of a decent job too after his horrific start to the year. I think he did a better job. In fact, KJ Osborne had 5 catches for 49 yards. So I think they were able to spread the ball around. And Brandon Powell got in the game, which I like too. And they were able to throw some balls to him and one to Johnny Munt. And I know they threw it around to Josh Oliver a little bit too. So I like that they were able to spread it out, even with the fact that both when Jefferson was in the game, they were spreading it out. But then when he came out, then they did a good job of it, not only throwing to Jordan, even though Jordan did a great job too. So hopefully if Justin Jefferson were to be out, they can keep that so it's not one-dimensional. And same with like the run game, so it doesn't become one-dimensional, that they can spread the ball everywhere. Hopefully that's what they can do, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, and one thing that I noticed today we kind of touch on is that we had a lot of like dropped passes that should have been catches. And I don't know if that was just because like missed timing with Kirk Cousins, because it seemed like some of them were a little behind or a little higher than they normally are with Kirk Cousins. So I don't know if it's just a combination of like the receivers not being used to those kind of different throw-ins, or just they couldn't catch today. But that was definitely kind of a problem for us today, that we couldn't catch some of those balls.
The biggest glaring missed opportunity I saw was that screen pass to Madison. That was a perfect setup. Like,
the one at the end of the game.
They love running the play action. The defense came in, and I mean, Kirk got the ball out, and I mean, he catches it. He's in the end zone. There's like one guy there, and he's getting blocked, and that was just a crucial drop. I'd like to see more Cam Akers. He got limited touches again. I want to see him step up.
Yeah, Cam Akers. Yeah, I thought he did a good job today. He had 2 catches for 3 yards, but rushing, Cam Akers, he had just 5 carries for 15 yards. But when he did carry the ball, I felt like he was pretty effective when he was doing it. And he was in a lot of the game. I'm going to have to look when the snap counts come out tomorrow. But he was on the field quite a bit. I also think we should address the fake punt. That was pretty interesting.
Yes.
I don't have the exact situation ingrained into my mind.
About a 4th and 1, I remember.
I thought it was 4th and 2.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Yep.
They were down by maybe 7, I think, at the time. 4-7, one of the above.
Yeah. It ended up getting us 3 points.
I was sitting in my dorm room here. I saw him punt. I'm like, they're gonna fake it here. I was thinking they're gonna fake it. They're set up perfectly to fake it here. Watch them snap it to that guy. I'm like, oh my goodness, they faked it. I mean, that play was really well drawn up and really well executed.
I mean, you heard on the broadcast too, it's such a weird design. It was a direct snap to Metellus, and then he hands the ball off to Ty Chandler. That's a very rare thing to see. I guess how that was drawn up, but it got a first down.
Yeah.
You probably won't see that ever again. That's a one-time play, and you have to reach in the bag of new tricks if you want to fake punt it again.
Well, yeah, I think last year the Vikings faked 1 punt throughout the season too with a Ryan Wright pass, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that was the Colts game. That's what I remember. I remember that game they used a fake, but I don't know if
honestly
throughout the year.
Tango Yankee.
We got some interaction here.
Get rid of
this is-
Madison.
This is new to us. We don't usually get interaction. What do you think of that?
See, I think Madison's doing okay. I mean, he had that missed catch there, which kind of, he should have had that missed catch. But, I think he's doing okay for the situation he's in. I mean, he's not like no Cook or McCaffrey or like a top tier running back. But what the Vikings are kind of using him for is good because the Vikings don't have a huge run game. They got more of a passing game here with all of the offensive weapons. And so I think Madison kind of fits with the team perfectly in what they're trying to accomplish.
I wouldn't cut Madison. I think Madison's gotten a lot better, but yeah, that was a huge missed opportunity.
Yeah, in my eyes, he's had some bad plays this year for sure, but I don't think he's as bad as some people make it out to be.
I think it's hard when you go from Dalvin Cook and all the explosive plays he had, and now the fans expect you to do that exact same thing. So I'm not going to be too tough on him. I think he's fine. I think he'll be our guy this year and maybe next year as well, but we'll see what happens.
So with that, I'm going to bring us to the defensive side of the ball. I mean, it's up to you guys, but I thought the defense did a fine job today considering they were playing Patrick Mahomes in this huge Kansas City offense. Granted, Travis Kelce was also out of the game for a while too, but I mean, Mahomes today, 31 for 41, 281 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, passer rating of 109.9. But it didn't feel like just a Patrick Mahomes fireworks show that we see sometimes. I think they did a good job with the circumstances they were in.
See, I think the defense played very well in the first half and the fourth quarter. It seemed like they didn't perform very well in the third quarter there. I mean, the Vikings offense didn't either, but all around the Vikings in the third quarter. But in the first half, I was genuinely impressed by the Vikings. Yes, they let up points, but it's Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. But I thought they did a pretty good job putting up pressure and just overall compared to the other games, I thought they did a much better job today.
I felt like the one thing you noticed was they were picking on Byron Murphy. He was obviously chatting during the week about the whole Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift drama, which I'm honestly sad Taylor Swift didn't show up to the game.
I'm very happy she didn't show up.
We were let on. It doesn't matter. We still lost. But, yeah, I mean, Rashee Rice is a solid receiver, but you can't get burnt on a slant like that. Byron Murphy got picked on, and then
was that the touchdown?
That was on the touchdown. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was bad. Then he got got a Derrick Henry stiff arm type action from Valdez Scantling that sent him flying. But you're gonna have those games. He's gonna bounce back. We got him for a reason. He's gonna play well, but not a good sight today.
One thing that I think the Vikings did well on defense is as they're blitzing off the edge or come across unblocked, actually getting contact on either the quarterback or the running back there. Because in previous games, they kind of were blowing by. But it seems like this game, they were making more of contact with the quarterback or the running back and getting better with that. At least that's what I saw, if you guys understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, the Chiefs had allowed 3 sacks all year. Vikings got 2 today. Vikings had blitz on almost half of their snaps. So, Patrick Mahomes is good against the blitz. So Brian Flores did a good job of, all right, we're going to blitz here, but we're going to do something different in the back end, try to give him some different looks. And ultimately, we played well, but Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce is a dynamic duo that we haven't seen since maybe. Well, what kind of connection would you say you would compare to that?
That's a good question.
It's a generational type connection those two have. So they read each other's minds really well on that touchdown. Guys, any good tight end does show your quarterback the numbers when you're in the flat and you have a lot of green grass and hit them. I mean, not much you can do is you can only hold them down for a matter of time. That was crucial. Though those 2 field goals in the beginning, we really want 6s there.
Yeah. So now I'm gonna entertain the idea: where would you guys go from here with this team? Because I don't really know what to do anymore about them. you're 1-4. You've got the Bears next week, which is a winnable game, except they did put up 40 on Thursday, so it's not a gimme at all. And then they play San Francisco, which more than likely is going to be a loss. Then they follow up in Lambeau, which is going to be a tough game. So
when does the trade deadline fall into all of this?
October 31st.
Isn't it week 8?
It's October 31st. Usually it's right before week 8, typically.
I'd say these next 2 games are really telling. After San Fran, we'll get a real better picture of where the Vikings might go, what direction they want to take. But I don't really know what to do right now. I kind of just say stay still, but obviously the health of JJ is the most important thing.
I think if Jefferson is has a season-ending injury, I would be on board for tanking.
And I think I don't know what else the Vikings can do. Addison can step up. I don't think the Vikings will tank what we necessarily think, but yeah, you can't really do much. And it was clearly evident when Jefferson wasn't on the field that offense just didn't look as explosive.
Mm-hmm.
I do gotta say the Vikings did better at protecting Cousins and giving him more time. It seemed like there was multiple plays where he had probably 5 seconds to actually scan the field, look around, and then throw the ball, which I was happy to see, and him not getting swarmed every single play. He had a few of those plays where he could actually take his time and make a smart, really good pass.
Yes. So with that said, I think we're getting close to the end, so I'm going to let me do this here. Share screen. We're going to take a look at, there were some predictions and games that came off the board. So we're just going to take a little peekarooski at that. So that's this week number 5. No, actually, I just realized one more thing we have to close out with too, but we'll get to that after this. So that Washington pick was straight brutal for everyone. It was kind of a trap game though. Then the Buffalo one was this morning. I didn't watch any of that game, so can't actually speak on it. But I mean, yeah, we see Baltimore down here. There was the big comeback by the Steelers.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
That was just a weird game. I clutched up and picked the Falcons, and Younghoe Koo clutched up for me. And yeah, so that's our week. We can look over here. Not counting this week, that is the standings. Don't go by the number up here. Go by the percentages because we're not all on an equal playing field. We'll also take a look at predictions. I have one more wrong. Danielle Hunter did not get 7 sacks in his first 5 games. He had 6.
He almost had that 7th there. I think he was in the 3rd quarter there. He had Mahomes on a scramble, but couldn't quite get him.
I was so hopeful for a while. He had 5 in his first 3, or he had 4 in the first 2 games, or 5 in the first 3, and I was like, oh man, it's happening. Then he got 1 in the first half, but nothing after that. So that's wrong.
Oh, I believe your second one would be wrong too.
Yep, you're right. Oops, I just accidentally closed out of that. My bad.
Nothing after that, so that's wrong.
That's accurate. That one's wrong too. Sam said, wow, we just got a lot of red. Sam said Travis Kelce will not score. He said Cam Akers will score his first touchdown with the Vikings. He also did not. And this one's wrong wait, no, that one's right.
Kirk, yeah, that is right. How could you ever doubt Kirk?
Yep. How about that last play? Except that was also offensive line issues too.
It's a mixture of things.
Yes. Then we got Big Lou here. He said the Vikings will have 4 less turnovers in the next 3 games. I believe they had 5.
They had Josh Oliver's
I was going to say that was the 5th, if I remember when I tabulated it.
So I got to give the Vikings credit here a little bit too. They only had the 1 turnover, which was big for them, considering they've had, I believe, 13 now throughout the season.
Yeah.
So
we should also highlight, again, like every episode, Big Lou said Justin Jefferson will not be traded before the 2024 draft is over.
Honestly, with every loss, it could maybe come more into fruition. You never know.
They're going to trade 52 players before Justin Jefferson, though, so.
You never know.
The point differential one, it's not hitting as of now. I've said it before. The Vikings are they're not built to win.
Isn't I think the point differential, I think it's probably close to -20 now, isn't it?
Well, we can look here. So the Vikings, they lost the first game by 3. Then it was by 6. So that'd be 9
Yep.
plus 4 is
So
13. 13, then 5. And then 5 plus 7 is 12. So right now they're at minus 12. So
Right in there.
we'll see how that plays out. And Matt had nothing.
I did have
Look
Taylor
at-
Swift, but unfortunately she wasn't in attendance, so that prediction couldn't stand.
Mm-hmm. We got our standings over here, but they're not actually accurate because I did miss those couple. So mine is going to be minus 2 more, and Sam is plus 1.
If you tune in Wednesday, the stats will be official.
Yeah.
If you're on Wednesday's episode, when we look at the next game and do all our normal stuff, everything will be back up to normal. So those are actually not accurate, but whatever.
With doing Wednesday, we may be able to do more of like a trivia section or more predictions. Kind of we missed out on predictions last week with doing the recap now.
Mm-hmm.
Very true. Very true.
Also, so that does it for that. But there's one more thing we have to address before we end this episode. In our group chat today, after the Josh Oliver fumble, I said, "Would Big Lou hold the ball better than them?" He says yes. He said, "I never fumbled in game." So I said, "How often did you touch the ball?" Since I know he was a lineman. You said 2 targets, 1 reception for like 70 yards.
Yes.
I think you gotta share with us.
I
now.
need video proof by Wednesday of this.
Yeah, we
Okay,
need
so-
to show the people.
Freshman year, I played tight end.
Mhm.
And there was again at Sartell, I think it was like our second or third game. It was the last play of the game. Jack throws it down to me. I catch it. It was a short pass, like run back. I run all the way down. There's no ref there to tell. I have no idea how close I was to the end zone. I get shoved out of bounds really close. They don't call it a touchdown or whatever. Game ends in a tie, unfortunately. But yeah, it was like 60, 70 yards, something like that.
Wait, what year did you say this was?
This was 7th grade.
Oh, so it
Wow.
would have been
That's a young Big Lou.
okay,
then.
never mind then.
Yeah. So I was at least, I think it was 7th grade. And and then I didn't get I got targeted one other time by Jordan and he threw it way behind me.
Nice.
In my middle school days, I was a running back, but I never dropped a pass. So take with that what you want, but I did fumble a lot. So
I didn't play
The only
football.
time I ever remember fumbling was indoors in the gym at some practice. But yeah.
All right, that does it for today's episode. That was our talk about the Vikings game and their loss today, as well as looking at stuff that's come off the board and some nice stories about football. Also
Yes,
to close it
sir.
out. So with that said, we'll see you guys again on Wednesday. Have a good one, everybody. Peace out, and as always, SKOL Vikings.
SKOL Vikings.